Now, we'll see a bunch of this. We're going to get into much more details as we go through the implementation. But another one that I want to mention here real quickly is the multi-layer director switches, the MDSs, and then kind of where these fit in comparison to the Nexus. But in terms of our implementation, we're not going to be doing any configurations on the MDSs. Okay, MDS, like the Nexus 7K versus 5K, they're going to come in two different formats. They come in the modular switches, which would be the 9700s and the 9500s. These are typically your core switches that are directly attached to your storage arrays. And then you have your access level switches or your edge switches that are connected to your end stations, which are going to be like the 9200s, 9100, I believe 9300 is the new variation here. But we'll see that the main difference here in terms of MDS versus Nexus is that both of them are going to run Nexus OS, so NX OS. This means that from a CLI point of view, when we look at a configuration we would do on a Nexus 5K in terms of storage switching, and then compare this to MDS, most of the time you can literally copy and paste the config between the two of them. So syntax-wise, it's going to be pretty much the same. In terms of the hardware architecture and the software and the hardware features, even though they're both supporting SAN switching, the main difference is that the MDS doesn't support LAN switching. So it's not an Ethernet switch, cannot do layer 3 Ethernet, cannot do layer 2 Ethernet, cannot do layer 3 IP routing. Okay, instead, it's going to be used typically for higher port density of storage networking. So for example, if you want a lot of 16 gig native fiber channel ports, a lot of the times you'd be better off using MDS as opposed to Nexus. And then if you have very specific storage features, for example, SAN extension with a fiber channel over IP tunnel, there's going to be some features that are still specific to the MDS switches that are not available on the Nexus switches. But for the vast majority of implementations, they're going to be fairly similar, if not identical, for most of the storage switching. But again, the MDS switches are not LAN switches. They're not Ethernet layer 2 or layer 3. Even though they do support fiber channel over Ethernet, that's going to be Ethernet just for storage networking. It's not going to be Ethernet for regular server access. Whereas when we look at like our Nexus 5Ks, Nexus 5Ks support what we call unified fabric or unified wire, which means that they can run regular LAN Ethernet down to the servers. They could run fiber channel over Ethernet for SAN switching down to the servers, or they could run native fiber channel FC down to the servers, and we can combine all of that functionality into one platform. Whereas with the MDSs, you would still need two different boxes. You need MDS in order to do the SAN switching to the server, and then another switch, whether it's Catalyst, Nexus, whatever, in order to do your Ethernet switching, where Nexus is combining both of these together in one single box.